Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said on Wednesday the recent events in Syria, including the fall of its government, were part of a joint plan by the United States and Israel. There should be no doubt that what has happened in Syria is the result of a joint American and Zionist plan, Khamenei said in a speech in Tehran on Wednesday that was broadcast on state TV. We have evidence, and this evidence leaves no room for doubt. The Supreme Leader added, a neighbouring state of Syria has played a clear role in this matter, and it continues to do so. Everyone can see this. Khamenei also rejected speculation by analysts who have said that Iran will be weakened by the fall of Syrian President Bashar Assad's government. Those ignorant analysts are unaware of the meaning of resistance. They think that if resistance weakens, Islamic Iran will also weaken. But I say, with the help and power of God by the will of Almighty Allah, Iran is powerful and it will become even more powerful, he said.
نباید تردید کرد که اونچه در سوریه اتفاق افتاد محصول یک نقشه مشترک آمریکایی و صهیونیستی است. قرائنی داریم. این قرائن برای انسان جای تردید باقی نمیگذاره. بله، یک دولت همسایه سوریه نقش آشکاری رو در این زمینه ایفا کرده، الانم ایفا میکنه. اینو میبینن همه. هرچی فشار بیارید محکم تر میشه. هرچی جنایت کنید پر انگیزه تر میشه. هرچه با اونها بجنگید گسترده تر میشه. و من به شما عرض میکنم به حول و قوه الهی گستره مقاومت بیش از گذشته تمام منطقه رو فرا خواهد گرفت. اون تحلیلگر نادان بیخبر از معنای مقاومت خیال میکنه که مقاومت که ضعیف شد ایران اسلامی هم ضعیف خواهد شد. من عرض میکنم به حول و قوه الهی به اذن الله تعالی ایران قوی مقتدر است و مقتدرتر هم خواهد شد.
UK's Foreign Secretary David Lammy called ousted Syrian President Bashar Assad the rat of Damascus in a statement to the House of Commons on Monday. Assad was a drug dealer funding his regime through Captagon and illicit finance. And we said no, because he was never, ever going to change. There were those who used to call Assad the Lion of Damascus. Now we see the reality. Assad is the rat of Damascus, fleeing to Moscow with his tail between his legs. How fitting he should end up there, he said in his address. Half a century of rule by the Assad family in Syria crumbled on Sunday after insurgents burst out of a rebel-held enclave and converged on the capital, Damascus, taking city after city in a matter of days. Opposition forces swept across the country and entered Damascus with little or no resistance as the Syrian army melted away. President Bashar Assad, Syria's ruler for 24 years succeeding his father, Hafez Assad, fled the country. Russian state media reported that he was in Moscow. Streams of refugees are crossing back into Syria from neighbouring countries, hoping for a more peaceful future. The rebels face the daunting task of healing bitter divisions in a country still split among armed factions.
And some in this House asked whether we would re-engage with Assad. His Russian and Iranian allies have long championed him. Last year, he returned to the Arab League, and increasingly other governments were also starting to step up their presence in Damascus. And Deputy Speaker, this government chose not to re-engage. We said no, because Assad is a monster. We said no because Assad was a dictator whose sole interest was his wealth and his power. And we said no because Assad is a criminal who defied all laws and norms to use chemical weapons against the Syrian people. We said no because Assad is a butcher with the blood of countless innocents on his hands. And we said no, because Assad was a drug dealer, funding his regime through Captagon and illicit finance. And we said no, because he was never, ever going to change. There were those who used to call Assad the Lion of Damascus. Now we see the reality. Assad is the rat of Damascus, fleeing to Moscow with his tail between his legs. How fitting he should end up there. We see streets of Syrians cheering his demise, tearing down his statues, reuniting with loved ones who have been disappeared. We have long hoped to see him gone and welcome the opportunity this brings for the people of Syria. Assad's demise is not just a humiliation to him and his henchmen, it is a humiliation for Russia and Iran. This House will know that the group whose offensive first pushed back the regime, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS as it's now being called, are also a proscribed terrorist organisation in the UK as an alias of Al-Qaeda. That should rightly make us cautious. Thus far, HTS has offered reassurances to minorities in Aleppo, Hama, and Damascus. They have also committed to cooperating with the international community over monitoring chemical weapons. We will judge ATS by their actions, monitoring closely how they and other parties to this conflict treat all civilians in areas they control. The UK and our allies have spent over a decade combating terrorism in Syria. Daesh remains one of the most significant terrorist threats to the UK, our allies and our interests overseas. We take seriously our duty as government to protect the public from this and other terrorist threats. The humanitarian situation in Syria is dire, with almost 17 million people in need. Millions are refugees, largely still in neighbouring Turkey, Lebanon and Jordan. Seeing so many start to return to Syria is a positive sign for their hopes for a better future now that Assad is gone. But a lot depends on what happens now. This flow into Syria could quickly become a flow back out and potentially increase the numbers using dangerous illegal migration routes to continental Europe and the United Kingdom. Syria has also proven a hotbed of extremism.